first thing I want to say to you who are students is that you cannot afford to think of being here to receive an education. You will do much better if you think of yourselves as being here to claim one. One of the dictionary definitions of the verb to claim is to take as the rightful owner, or to assert in the face of possible contradiction. To receive is to come into possession of, to act as receptacle or container for, to accept as authoritative or true. The difference is that between acting and being acted upon, and for women, it can literally mean the difference between life or death. One of the devastating weaknesses of university learning, of the store of knowledge and opinion that has been handed down through academic training, has been its almost total erasure of women's experiences and thought from the curriculum, and its exclusion of women as members of the academic community. Today, with increasing numbers of women students in nearly every branch of higher learning, we still see very few women in the upper levels of faculty and administration in most institutions. What you can learn here, and I mean not only at Douglas, but any college in any university, is how men have perceived and organized their experiences, their history, their ideas of social relationships, good and evil, sickness and health, etc. When you read or hear about great issues, major texts, the mainstream of Western thought, you are hearing about what men, above all white men, in their male subjectivity have decided is important. Black and other minority peoples have for some time recognized that their racial and ethnic experience was not accounted for in the studies broadly labeled human, and that even the sciences can be racist. For many reasons, it has been more difficult for women to comprehend one exclusion, and to realize that even the sciences can be sexist. For one thing, it is only within the last 100 years that higher education has grudgingly been opened up to women at all, even to white middle-class women. And many of us have found ourselves poring eagerly over books with titles like The Descent of Man, Man and His Symbols, Irrational Man, The Phenomenon of Man, The Future of Man, Man and the Machine, From Man to Man. In other words, books pretending to describe a human reality that does not include over one half the human species. She goes on to talk a little bit more about women's studies in general and at Douglas College. And then she says, I want to suggest that there is a more essential experience that you owe yourselves, one which courses in women's studies can greatly enrich, but which finally depends upon you. In all your interactions with yourself and your world, this is the experience of taking responsibility toward yourselves. Our upbringing as women has so often told us that this should come second to our relationships and responsibilities to other people. We have been offered ethical models of the self-denying wife and mother, intellectual models of the brilliant but slapdash dilettante who never commits herself to anything the whole way, or the intelligent woman who denies her intelligence in order to seem more feminine, or who sits in passive silence even when she disagrees inwardly with everything being said around her. Responsibility to yourself means refusing to let others do your thinking, talking, and naming for you. It means learning to respect and use your own brains and instincts, hence grappling with hard work. It means that you do not treat your body as a commodity with which to purchase superficial intimacy or economic security. For our bodies and minds are inseparable in this life, and when we allow our bodies to be treated as objects, our minds are in mortal danger. It means insisting that those to whom you give your friendship and love are able to respect your mind. Responsibility for your mind means we don't fall for shallow and easy solutions. We don't fall for predigested ideas, books, weekend encounters guaranteed to change your life, taking gut courses instead of ones you know will challenge you, bluffing at school and life instead of doing solid work, marrying early as an escape from real decisions, getting pregnant as an evasion of already existing problems. It means that you refuse to sell your talents and aspirations short simply to avoid conflict and confrontation. And this in turn means resisting the forces in society which say that women should be nice, play safe, have low professional expectations, drown in love and forget about work, live through others, and stay in the places assigned to us. It means that we insist on a life of meaningful work, insist that work be as meaningful as love and friendship in our lives. It means, therefore, the courage to be different, not to be continuously available to others when we need time for ourselves and our work, to be able to demand of others, parents, friends, roommates, teachers, lovers, husbands, children, that they respect our sense of purpose and our integrity as persons. Women everywhere are finding the courage to do this more and more, and we are finding that courage both in our study of women in the past who possessed it and in each other as we look to other women for comradeship, community, and challenge. The difference between a life lived actively and a life of passive drifting and dispersal of energies is an immense difference. Once we begin to feel committed to our lives, responsible to ourselves, we can never again be satisfied with the old passive way. Now comes the second part of the contract. I believe that in a women's college, you have the right to expect the faculty to take you seriously. Too often, now she's speaking of teachers, too often all of us fail to teach the most important thing, which is that clear thinking, active discussion, and excellent writing are all necessary for intellectual freedom, and that these require hard work. Sometimes, perhaps in discouragement with a culture which is both anti-intellectual and anti-woman, we may resign ourselves to low expectations for our students before we've given them half a chance to become more thoughtful, expressive human beings. We need to take heart the words of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, a poet, a thinking woman, and a feminist, who wrote in 1845 of her impatience with studies which cultivate a passive recipiency in the mind, and assert that women want to be made to think actively. Their apprehension is quicker than that of men, but their defect lies for the most part in the logical faculty and in the higher mental activities. Note that she implies a defect which can be remedied by intellectual training, not an inborn lack of ability. I have said that the contract on the student's part involves that you demand to be taken seriously so that you can also go on taking yourself seriously. This means seeking out criticism, recognizing that the most affirming thing anyone can do for you is demand that you push yourself further, show you the range of what you can do. It means assuming your share of responsibility for what happens in the classroom, because that affects the quality of your daily life here. It means that the student sees herself engaged with her teachers in an active, ongoing struggle for a real education. But for her to do this, her teachers must be committed to the belief that women's minds and experience are intrinsically valuable and indispensable to any civilization worthy of the name. The contract is really a pledge of mutual seriousness about women, about language, ideas, methods, and values. It is our shared commitment toward a world in which the inborn potentialities of so many women's minds will no longer be wasted, raveled away, paralyzed, or denied.